Hey, how's things going? Rick Crosslin here for another video on my science. Glad everybody had a chance to join me today. So today's lesson is started with a question. I keep a science journal. I hope you do too, because I believe that science, you can do it. Anybody can do science, and I think science is for everyone, anywhere, even at home, even in your basement. And so today's lesson was a question that I had to do. Is like, notice when it rains and the sidewalks and the roads are wet, but you come back a little bit later and they're dry. I wonder where that water goes. One day it's raining, the next day it's dry. It rained last night a lot. I went out today, everything's dry. Where does the water go? And so that's my question today. And I'll be using my science journal. I hope you do too. And I want to say thank you for all my science friends that are joining in, especially my scientist Rowan, who yesterday was joining me and doing the garden glove. I really love hearing from everybody doing these projects. So Rowan, get ready for a new one, because today we're going to be doing something called the water cycle. And I made a circle because it's a cycle. The water goes through different stages and comes back to being a liquid. Water can be a liquid, water can be ice, and water can also be water vapor. I'm going to turn this guy right here on. It'll probably start getting hot, and it'll probably get going pretty good. So we're going to be investigating water, and I got like 5 experiments that you can do at home. First of all, the water cycle starts with our planet. Now, our planet is called planet Earth, but if you look at it from outer space, it's blue. And that got me thinking, why do we call this planet Earth? We should call it planet Agua, or planet Water, because it is covered, the surface of our planet, about 71% of our planet is covered in water. And water is so important to us. In fact, my body and your body is made of a lot of water. In fact, you have about 60% of your body is made of water. In fact, every time you take a breath, you suck in air, it goes inside your lungs, and when you breathe out, you lose some water. Yeah, you lose water. I could show you that here in just a second, our first experiment. So water, we have to take water, because without water, we would get sick and we would not do too well. In fact, without water, you go 3 days without water, your body starts to shut down. Now you got to think, how do we get rid of water? Well, one way is we breathe it out. Every time we take a breath, water goes out. The other way is we sweat it out. Every time we sweat, we're losing water. And the third way is when you go to the bathroom. When you go to the bathroom, you lose water. Let me show you. Here is a clear plastic cup. You can try this. I'm going to show you that there is water when I breathe out. I'm going to put this cup in my mouth like this, and I'm going to go. I went. Now here's a cup that I didn't do. Can you see the difference? Here is my control. Here's my experimental. Let's try that again. Ready? And what you see there is water that came out of my lungs. And so every time you breathe out, you're losing water. In fact, everybody goes like this. Everybody do this at home. You just sucked in the water from the person next to you, from their lungs into your lungs. I know it's gross, right? I tell you what's really gross is that all water on this planet has been recycled. In fact, this water you see right here that I have in here, this water was probably in a dinosaur 70 million years ago. It probably was in the ocean at one time. It was probably up in a cloud. Water gets recycled. In fact, let me show you, and we're going to make some of these drawings. Here is a drawing from NASA about the water cycle. And we'll make our own. You can look up NASA, do a lot of things, but the water on the ground is easy to understand. We see the water on the ground, but I don't know if you know this or not, but if this is all the water in the world, and that's a lot, Almost 96%. What I mean by that is all the water all the way up to the very top here is in the oceans. It's salt water. That means almost 96 or 97% of all the water in the world is in the ocean, and it's salty. We can't drink it. Next, where's the rest of the water? Well, that 3% that's left over, about 1% is in ice and glaciers at our North and South Pole. And then there's the water in the ground and there's water in the air. And so if I take this pipette and pull out that much water, that is how much water compared to the ocean that we have to drink in our rivers and lakes and streams. That is kind of cool, but also kind of scary. So this is all of our salt water. About 1% is our water, our lakes and our rivers. That's why we really need to take care of keeping our water clean in our lakes and rivers, because we need it, we drink it, and we don't want to pollute it. Now you can see here that I'll hold this up, something happened kind of cool. My heater, it's starting to have some water on the side. This water is boiling and making water vapor. So there's three ways a water can be. It can be a liquid. It can be a solid, ice, or it also can be water vapor. We'll let that go for a second. So try this experiment later. Get 2 cups, one is your control, and you can see the water vapor coming out of you, the water that comes out and sticks to the inside of this cup. Water vapor. That is so cool. All right, so we got a couple things we're going to do, but I have a question. Let me switch over here. We got my water boiling. I have a question. I have 3 fish tanks right here. My 3 fish tanks, and I noticed something strange about these tanks. They're on the same wall. I filled them up last week, and the water level is high on this one, and it's high on that one. But the one in the middle, the water level has gone down. So my question is, where did that water go? So I'm trying to see, how are these tanks different? This one, no fish. This one has some little bitty fish. And this one has fish. So that's not something different. Oh, this one has an aquarium heater. These two don't. So maybe the one with the heater has warmer water, and this water is evaporating up into my house. So water can actually evaporate. So I noticed that this tank and that tank, the water didn't evaporate. The tank with the warmer water has evaporated up. So maybe heat has something to do with evaporation. Let's see what's going on down here. Let's make a few drawings about what we've talked about so far in our science journal. So, let's see, we turn that back on. Here we go. In my science journal, let's see if I can get this just about where you can see it really well. Water cycle. So in our water cycle, since it's a cycle, I'm going to write the word water cycle in the middle. And down here is going to be our ocean. Okay, now I wonder what makes the water go up into the sky, like in my fish tank or like on your sidewalk. There's got to be something. There's no giant heater outside. But there is something that runs everything, and that is the sun. So the sun, and I might just make my sun, the sun, make it a little bit yellow here. The sun heats up the water in the ocean and in the lakes and in the rivers that go into it. And when that does it, that air, that water goes up into the sky. And we have a word for that. This is a hard word. Everybody say this word. Evaporation. Evaporation. Now, some of the older kids know about evaporation, but evaporation is the process where liquid water becomes water vapor. Water vapor, VAP, and we call those clouds. Those are our clouds. Now, remember when we blew in that cup? When clouds get cool, that water in the clouds turns back into something called precipitation. It condenses, that's a new word, condensation, and it falls back to Earth because of gravity. And so that, my friend, is the water cycle. Water from the oceans goes up in the clouds and comes down as rain, snow, fog, sleet, or hail. We call that precipitation. And this goes on and on and on. The water cycle. Now, what runs all of this? What runs all of that is the sun. The sun runs it all. In fact, let's take a look at the NASA chart and see what it shows. If that's even a little bit fancier, check it out. So we have the sun, we have water coming up through evaporation. Plants give off water called transpiration. In fact, in the Amazon, there's an ocean of water up in the air. All the plants send it up. Evaporation, it condenses, it's transported, and precipitation comes back down. Surface runoff back into the ground. And this goes on and on and on forever, which is a good thing. So let's try a couple experiments, shall we? One I'd like to do is let's see if we can make a cloud. Since clouds are water, let's see if I can make a cloud. So what I have here is, let me move my science journal so you can see this a little bit better. I have a bottle. It has a little temperature thermometer in it. And what I want to do is add just a little bit of water into this. So let me add a little bit of water, because if we're going to make a cloud, and one way to make a cloud is through water and pressure change. So I'm going to put just a little bit of water in here. Not a lot, so you can see that in there. There's a little bit of water, maybe a little bit more, because this is liquid water and a cloud is water vapor. So I'm going to close this up and snap it. And what I can do is start squeezing. And when I squeeze this, I'm squeezing air. I'm changing the pressure. I'm making it a high pressure. In fact, I'm going to squeeze it a bunch of times. Every time I squeeze this, I'm putting more air inside of this container. More and more. And I'm going to move this out of the way so when we do this, you might be able to see it even better. Now it's getting harder because you can squeeze air. That's called air pressure. You can't squeeze water. That's hydraulic. And so air, we can squeeze it, and this is getting hard. I'm going to try to squeeze it a few more times. So now I've changed the pressure. I've changed the pressure in this bottle. And when I let it out all at once, you're going to see something kind of cool. Check this out. I'm going to let it out all at once. Watch carefully. And we should see a cloud form inside here. Here we go. 3. You hear a pop. 3. I'm going to let all that air out. It's going to change pressure. We might get a cloud. 3, 2, 1. Wow. Did you see that? Look at that. Water vapor. A pressure change. And that's how clouds form. When it's a day up in the air with high pressure, we have clear skies. When it's low pressure, when the pressure changes, we get cloudy days. That's pretty cool. One more time, pump it up, pump it up, pump it up, make sure it's closed. I'm increasing the pressure, it's getting clear. The temperature is going to change when I release it. Here we go. And we'll try that one. 1, 2, 3. You've probably seen this when you open up a Coke bottle or a soft drink that's under pressure. Ready? Cool. Water vapor coming out. All right, so we've talked about water cycles. I think there's a project I'd like us to do. So you could try this at home too. Let me see if I can get this set up a little bit better. I have a bowl here. And on this bowl, I am going to put some hot water. Move this back just a little bit. And I'm going to put some hot water in this bowl. So I'll get my hot water going. And I got a little experiment to do. I wonder if I put some hot water in a cup. What if I color that water blue? Let me cut this cup down a little bit. If I color that water blue, Will the water vapor come up as blue? Or will the water come up and the blue will stay behind? I don't know, let's find out. So here is my cup I'm going to use. Okay. I'm going to put some hot water in it. Here's my hot water that I got boiling. If you do this at home, make sure you have your mom or dad help you because you don't want to get burned. Here goes my hot water in this cup. Okay. You can see some of the water vapor coming up right now. Okay. Now I'm going to put some food coloring in there to change it to blue, which would be kind of cool. See what happens. Here's my blue food coloring without spilling it everywhere. Use my pipette. And now we have blue, hot blue water. I'm just going to wonder what's going to happen if I put this inside my little sphere right here. Okay, so I can put this in here. That's hot. I don't want to spill it. There we go. Okay, so now let me get a little bit lower here so you can see this even better. So I have some hot water inside of my glass bowl, and what we're going to do here is show you this a little bit better. There we go. Now, hot water. I'm going to cover this with some plastic to keep that hot water in. Here's my plastic. And I'm going to see if we can get any water forming anywhere. Some condensation. Now, I sealed it up. How's that look? Can you see that in there? I've sealed it up. And just to make this more like a model of the Earth, I'm going to add some ice up here, up high. So I'm going to put some ice up here. And now when that warm air comes up to the top, it's going to hit that cold ice. Wonder what's going to happen. Maybe we're going to get some condensation. But is it going to be blue? Oh, I can already see some starting to form right there. Can you see it starting to get foggy in there? It's getting harder to see. Before we could see really well in there, but now it's starting to get foggy. Oh, I see some water dripping down the side here. Let me turn it. Look at that. Can you see that water dripping? And I don't see any blue water forming there. So maybe the blue water is staying here, but the water is evaporating, coming up, hitting the cold of the ice, and forming water on the sides here. Let me turn it around so you can show. Look, check it out. Look at all that water. Can you see these water drops falling down right there? Oh, there goes one. Right here. That's the warm water coming up, hitting the ice, and going down. Let's look around and see. Wow. I'm transporting water from the blue, coming up, hitting the cold, condensation, going back down. We got our own little water cycle going on right here. That's cool. Very cool. I'll tell you, I'm going to move this off to the side because we're going to do one more project. I'm going to let that go. We'll come revisit that here in just a second. So this next project is kind of fun. I think it is. It's kind of different. Move that guy right there. You'll need a paper plate for this. Let's see if I can go a little bit higher here. And turn on down. I got a paper plate like this. Okay. A little bit closer. My paper plate. Now we're going to make another type of model of the water cycle. So in the middle I'm going to write water cycle. And put my name on there. Paper plate. If you don't have a paper plate, you can just use any piece of paper will do. Now the most important thing is, besides the water cycle, is we also need the sun. The sun is the most important part, so I'm going to put my sun over here. The sun is the energy that drives all this. We'll go ahead and label the sun. Okay? S-U-N. There's my sun. Now, we also need some clouds, so you're going to like this part. So to make clouds, I'm putting some glue down here. See my glue? Okay. And I just happen to have some cotton balls. You don't need maybe 1 or 2 cotton balls. I want to make some fluffy clouds. Here's my clouds. And that is the water that's coming up. And that water then is condensing and turning into clouds. And then finally, after we get our clouds, we start having some rain coming down because of gravity. And we're going to call that rain, or you can get fancy, call it precipitation. There's 5 types. There's rain, there's sleet, there's hail, there's fog, and there's snow. But this is all coming down. So as it comes down, it's going to form our ocean, our lakes, our rivers, our glaciers. Those are all coming down, and then it's going to go back up. I like to use maybe a red to show. I like to use a red showing it coming up. Evaporation, transpiration, and I like to show a blue coming down. Precipitation, precipitation. Now only one thing left. I want to do something kind of cool. So for my water down here, I'm going to use some blue toothpaste. And so this is going to be my water coming down as rivers, as oceans, and put a bunch of it over here. And if you don't want to use your finger, you can, but you can use your finger to wet your finger, spread out your ocean. Cool. And now we've made a 3-dimensional model of the water cycle. The only thing I got to do is add some arrows. Water going this way, it's a cycle. It goes up, goes around, comes down, falls gravity, sun over and over and over again. This is the water cycle. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and try some of these experiments on your own. Try the water cycle, make a tier. Oh, let's take one more look at this guy. Check it out. Look at all the water. Hey, I was right. No blue water. The blue stayed, but the water vapor went up. Water cycle. Next time it rains, you'll know where the water goes. See you next time.